And I have no video.
Yes, but we can hear you, CJ. We're live.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Vesuvius Committee of the Whole meeting, January the 26th, 2021. I'll call the meeting to order, and I will ask for a resolution to exclude the public, and that in accordance with Ministerial Order M192, the Town of Vesuvius Committee of the Whole meeting be closed to the public due to the inability to meet physical distancing recommendations made under the Public Health Act in council chambers located at 8707 Main Street, and that to ensure openness, transparency, accessibility, and accountability, the Town of Vesuvius Committee of the Whole meetings will be recorded, live streamed, and published on the town's website. So I need a motion, please. Councillor Bennett, Councillor King, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Is that CJ down at the bottom?
It is.
CJ, I didn't recognize you. What are you doing? You've got a beard. Honestly, I didn't know it
Well,
was
I'm getting
you.
warmed up for December 25th next year.
Okay, so we need a motion to, now it says approve the agenda and late items, so my assumption is there are no late items?
Sorry, I missed who made the motion to exclude.
Director, Councillor Bennett,
and two.
Councillor King.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so there are no late items?
No.
All right, may we please have a motion to approve the agenda as printed? Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor? Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes. We need to have a motion to adopt the Committee of the Whole minutes from December the 21st, 2020. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Harvey, all in favor? Thank you. And business arising from the minutes, there is none. All right. So the first thing that we have this morning is a presentation by the Desert Park Exhibition Society. And I believe on the screen we have Rod Treitz and Dorothy Potchke. Am I correct, Dorothy? Potsy. Okay. And is Tom Shields also?
He's on the bottom there.
Oh, is that Tom?
Yep.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
He's got his ears on.
Okay. Thank you. So he's on mute.
He has to
Okay.
mute himself.
So would you like to unmute yourself, Tom? And welcome to all three of you. Thank you for the presentation that you have provided to us, and I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor and town councilors and invited guests. It's myself, Rod Treitz, as you mentioned, Dorothy Potsty, and Tom Shields, representing Desert Park Exhibition Society Board of Directors, as well as all members. We do appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today. We have a rather full agenda. I know we have a very tight timeline. But as partners of Desert Park Society, we as a new board feel it's very important to keep you up to date on what our goals are, what our achievements have been to date. So if we could get started, we'll move into the achievements that we've accomplished so far since the new board was elected in July of 2020. As mentioned, the board was elected in July of 2020. There was actually 4 new board members elected to the board. So it was a very different looking board. I would suggest a little more business oriented board, if I may say so. Since that time, we've hired a new on-site manager. We've also hired a new track manager. We've had the property professionally landscaped to the best that our budget would allow. And I think that any of you who have been up to Desert Park have probably seen an improvement. We certainly hope you have. And we will continue to do this moving forward. We certainly confirmed our insurance coverages with our insurance broker. I thought that was one of the most important things we had to do as a new board. We've completed a new website. We've never had a website before, so we have completed a website. We also have a Facebook page. I would invite you all to visit our website at www.desertpark.ca. It is a work in progress, and we're enhancing it on a daily, ongoing basis. We are going to be having a very, very busy year at Desert Park. In this situation, COVID is our friend, as horses are not able to get down to the United States. We started welcoming horses in November of last year, and we are going to have a full house from February to the end of May. So that's very exciting for us. It's also a lot of work, but we're working very hard to make sure that all of our clients are happy and enjoying the Desert Park and the town of Osoyoos. Our current occupancy agreement specifies recreational vehicles must be horsemen, and we have taken the steps to ensure that that is currently the case. I'm sure you're all aware. Previously, that was not the case, but we've taken that again very seriously, and all RVs on the property are now equine related. So that's as our current occupancy agreement states. We've also negotiated a contract for manure removal. I know that's always been an ongoing issue with the town, but we have negotiated that and signed a year-long lease agreement with some farmers out of Carameas. We had an electrical inspection of all of the barns recently, and I believe, Gerald, you may be aware of that. We've hired Baylog Electric to come and do the repairs. The last thing we need is improper electrical in any of those barns, winter housing. I'm not sure, Dorothy, how many horses will we have?
We're going to have 115 horses starting the second week of February until May 1st.
Yeah, so it's very important to us that everything is up to proper grade with respect to electrical, sewer, and other things. We had a situation where we had bad debtors, and this has been an ongoing issue for several boards at Desert Park. As of November of last year, those debtors, their property, and their horses have been removed from Desert Park. Tom has worked very hard on submitting grant proposals for stage applications, which will help us put on other events, and hopefully a very strong revenue sharing with the town of Osoyoos. Dorothy's going to talk about revenue sharing in just a couple of moments. We have also worked on a budget. Dorothy and I have spent a lot of time on a budget, as well as a 3-year and 5-year business tactical plan. This has never been done by Desert Park before, and we think it's very important for us moving forward and relating that to you as our business partners. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Dorothy. Dorothy's going to talk about our upcoming goals for 2021 and moving forward.
Okay, thanks, Rod. So if we go to slide 4, which is goals for 2021. So as Rod mentioned, we are having literally the busiest winter that we've ever had at Desert Park, thanks to COVID. And so out of 116 stalls, we're going to be filling up 115 of those from mid-Feb until May. So there are a lot of things that are on our agenda to accomplish for 2021. So repairing the sewer system is our #1 priority right now. So we've been having issues with the sewer system below the RV site since last spring, and we've already had a couple of very productive meetings with Gerald and with Alan to talk about how we approach repairing that properly for the long term. As Rod mentioned, we're also repairing the electrical in all the barns. So they were inspected in December, and the work has already started, and I believe will be finished in the next week to make sure the electrical is up to compliance in all of the barns. Also, as Rod mentioned, we have started discussions with Gerald and Alan about renewing our occupation agreement / lease with the town of Osoyoos. So that expires on December 5th of this year, and so we're looking to renew it probably for a full 5 years. We're also looking to have conversations as part of the lease agreement, discussions about business partnership between Desert Park and the town on tourism-related events, and I'll talk about that on the next slide a little bit more. Another thing that we're working on in terms of our strategic and tactical planning that Rod talked about is enhancement to barns A and B. So right now, for various reasons, we can't accommodate a full load of horses in either of those barns. We're also looking at ways that we can stabilize our revenue stream. Right now, it goes up and down depending on horse training season. We are looking to accommodate more of the stable horses because these people tend to stay all year long, and so we're looking at enhancements to barns A and B in that regard. We're also developing a corporate sponsorship plan, so Rod has had some really good conversations with a couple of local businesses who have agreed. I think in one case we have a commitment for them to donate some money to Desert Park, and our treasurer is going to be arranging for Desert Park to be a registered charity so that we can issue tax receipts for any corporate donations that we receive. Also, as Rod mentioned, we are developing a mission statement and 1- and 3-year business plans, both that cover both tactical and strategic planning. We go to slide 5, so ideas for business partnerships. So these are some of the discussions that we'll have with Gerald and Alan when we start getting into more of the details on renewing the lease. But we thought that for RV sites, so we might be able to increase the number of RV sites from 11, which it currently is, up to 14. And if we did a revenue sharing model where $100 of each monthly rent for each stall went to the town, based on 7 stalls over the 5 months of the training season, that could be potentially $3.5K on an annual basis. For horse stalls, some research that I've done would seem to indicate that Desert Park is below market value when we compare what we charge for rent for stalls compared to places up in Oliver and Penticton and Karamia. So if we increased our stall rental rate to $200 and shared 50 of that per stall with the town during an average year, so I'm basing this on a non-COVID year because this is an unusual year, that could be in the neighborhood of $14,000 annually for any revenue sharing agreements. In terms of events, we've had a lot of conversations as a board and also in our last couple of meetings with Alan and Gerald about more tourism-related and equine-related events once the COVID lockdown restrictions end. We don't know when that's going to be, but right now we're planning that probably won't be until 2022, according to the latest the announcements that are coming back this year, probably next year. And so I think there are a lot of good ideas on events that could really drive tourism and drive people to Desert Park, and those are going to be part of the conversations that we're having with the lease renewal agreement that the Desert Park is negotiating with the town. It's also, Tom did a lot of work last fall applying for a grant with the provincial government for stages, and we're still waiting to hear back on how that's going. So if we move to slide 6, in summary, I won't go over all the details that we just discussed, but our revenues are very healthy. So last year they were up 50%. This year it's going to be even 60% over last year. Again, this is because of COVID, because a lot of these people would normally be down in the United States during the winter. We're also attracting a lot of new clients to Desert Park, primarily from the prairies. So people who, we have a lot of horse trainers here from Winnipeg and Saskatoon this winter. And we're also getting a lot of work done on core operational improvements, making sure the track is, we're actually spraying it today with liquid salt. We're making sure that it's harrowed regularly so that the horse trainers can take their thoroughbreds out every single day to do training. And we're looking for business partnership, as Rod mentioned as well, with the town. So in closing, before we open up for questions, we wanted to thank all of you for your time today and for your commitment and your support to Desert Park. This year is going to be a banner year, and we're looking forward to the lease negotiations and to having more events at Desert Park and opening it up to the community. And we look forward to working further with the town. So at this point, I will open it up for any questions or discussions that you might have.
Thank you very much. I'm certainly very impressed with your presentation and the amount of work that you and your board have put in to making this a really good facility. So I think that you probably are quite lucky that the weather this year has allowed you to continue and do a lot of things. We don't have, you know, -20, which can happen, and we don't have a lot of snow. So that's in your favor, I'm sure, this year. Anyway, thank you very much for your presentation, and I will certainly open it up to council if they'd like a question. Councillor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to thank you for giving us an update on what's happening up at Desert Park. I look forward possibly to working with you or maybe the town, helping you create some new events. One thing I might want to mention to you to look into to generate some revenue is women's barrel racing. They are still legal to run. They don't create a lot of attendance, which you don't want, but they do charge for stalls. They put entry fees, and the ladies kind of compete for the money. So you might want to look into that. BC.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick.
I've got you, Councillor Harvey. You're next.
Thank you very much. I also want to congratulate you. This is a very professional presentation, and it's nice to get this kind of presentation to council. So congratulations, keep up the good work, and thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you. Just a question for the board. I noticed on the business partnership slide an item called equine-related events, but more specifically, what's the prognosis on the return of horse racing? Because that's always been, when we've had it in the past, very exciting for all the town. And so I just wonder what's the prospects there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can,
Yes.
Tom. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. With the horse racing coming back is really very iffy, because when we did have it back in 13, 14, and 15, the problem ends up that Hastings Park really doesn't want us to have racing and take it away from them, because the whole thing seems to be not, you know, it's hobbling along. And then on top of that, the last time we were here, they only had 5 jockeys that came in, and one of them got injured at around the second last race. So we ended up with 4 horses in the race, and it just, we could see it wasn't really working. And the other thing we had at the time, too, is we weren't getting the American Horseman coming up, but that happened because of the exchange, number one, and we had the fires as well. But horse racing coming back, it's not really going along anywhere. In fact, folks, just over a year ago, Suffolk Downs, and the big one in Boston, closed up their racetrack. And they moved to a place called Great Barrington, not far from Albany, New York, and it is the size of a Sioux, 7,000 people, but they were looking at that online betting sort of thing that goes around the world. So that has been happening at racetracks, because city land is very, could be used in better ways, I guess. So the races coming back, it's really doubtful, and I think we have to look at the other aspects of the horses Dorothy pointed out.
Thank you. Did anyone else have a question? Go ahead, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick. Yeah, thanks for the update. Got through a few of these sessions. This is by far the best one and most comprehensive that I've seen over the years. Councillor Harvey asked one of the questions that I was going to ask, but I'm curious about 2 other things. A little bit more detail on the grant application, and I'm curious about the corporate sponsorship, whether you've laid out a plan, if you've had any interest, any prospects or anything.
Yeah, I can talk about the corporate sponsorship plan. Our goal is to go after basically companies in and around the area that would benefit from these horse people being in town for this 4 or 5 months. Restaurants, possibly motels, but the first corporate sponsor that actually has come on board is Sunrise Restorations, which actually have zero benefit of being a sponsor other than they want to be involved in the community. And they have committed $2,000. And we're hoping to make that an ongoing annual contribution as well. So they have stepped up. We're also talking to some plumbing companies that we've used in the past at Desert Park, etc. So this is just very much in the infancy stage, but we've been successful. So far, we've approached 2 organizations. We've been successful, and the other hasn't said no yet. But so that is still alive.
Councillor Rhodes, you had another question?
Can I just add one more thing to that? I think a really key part of that too is Desert Park achieving registered charity status, and that's because I think that's going to make it more appealing to people to donate to us if they get a tax receipt. So that's something we're working on right now.
Good.
And I could also add as well, just a couple of years ago, I was looking into a concert.
I see, Brian.
And the reason why I didn't continue on was trying to get accommodation in the summertime for bands is just very difficult. But there are people out there, and if we start the concerts up, I'll be looking at probably getting at $5,000 per concert sponsored. I think that's out there. I have talked to people.
Good,
And
thank you.
Councillor Rhodes, you also mentioned there was a second question there I have not addressed.
I was interested about the details on the grant application to the state.
You know, CJ, it's very difficult because for some reason we didn't get the mail coming in, and as we were waiting to get everything was done online, we were waiting for a code coming in, and when it, for some reason, they had the wrong mailing address and shipped out our code somewhere else, which we didn't get, and I spent the final 48 hours constantly going back and forth on the web. Gerald jumped in, Alan jumped in, and I don't know, Gerald pulled a kind of a rabbit out of the hat because at closing time, 6 o'clock on the day we had to get it in, October 29th, at about 5 to 6, I got the notification to go ahead. But before that, I couldn't get on and see any of this sort of stuff. So, and you know, I'm not as good on the computer as Dorothy is, getting things, so I had to work my way through it, and I was doing that through going without having sleep for about 2 days, and we got it done, but they came back and let me finish because somewhere just near the end of putting it in, it disappeared off my computer. So it was really, CJ, and I said that to the board, it was 48 hours for hell for me, the worst 48 hours I can ever remember putting in. Your answer.
Did the application, was it accepted, or do we?
I don't
We
know.
haven't heard back yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
we don't know yet. I think we're going to be, we talked at the last board meeting that we need to follow up with the government, so we'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I think there are several other applications in town, and none of us have heard. So I don't think you need to worry about it. You haven't been missed out. I think it's just the government taking their time. They probably have other things higher on their agenda. Councillor Harvey, you had a question?
Go back to the sponsorships. Well, just the overall program, other than possible concerts, festivals, and whatnot, a sponsor's going to want eyes on his or her signage that they put up at Desert Park. And how do we get people to attend at Desert Park in the normal course? Like, you know, I've been there on training days and, you know, during a certain hour and seeing horses run as a training exercise, but it's still, you know, I found it interesting to go up. I had a visitor in town, but how do you, I mean, don't you want to put it out there? Like, you need to get people in the stadium. It doesn't have to be lots of people, but some number of people to see the signage so that the sponsor actually gets a benefit out of his or her $2,000.
Yeah, I'll handle that if that's okay. Absolutely, Brian, you're correct. There's different ways we're going to be trying to offer them exposure. One will be on our website. We're going to have a sponsor page on our website. We're also going to have a sponsor page on our Facebook page. We'll also send out we're actually doing, Dorothy is working on regular member emails, so information to members. As we're giving you information today, we want to start giving information to all of our members on a regular basis, so they will get exposure there. I'm also meeting with the Soyuz, Oliver Soyuz Chronicle, I think it's called now, Times, to talk about a little bit of advertising as well as a little bit of press. When we get into full training, we do want to attract people, obviously, to try and keep them socially distanced. But yeah, and put up a sign probably at the front of the barns for those that are going to be sponsors for us. So there's several different ways. This, again, is going to materialize in different ways as we get better ideas moving forward.
Councillor Harvey, if I could, we really have to, we don't really have anything to go forward yet. We're in the process, I think, of still massaging it all together. And the whole COVID thing is right. It's kind of hellish right now, but it's opening the door for us to get our, get things planned. And then, as Dorothy said, coming out in 22, it looks more like we hear Councillor King, I know, has been talking to the RCMP Musical Ride. We don't know what's going to happen there, but overall, we're thinking that come next year, and as we get open and the media picks us up and we've got things to get out about, I think we're going to see a lot more attention come on to Desert Park.
Good. Thank you.
I can just add one more thing. Also, the corporate sponsorship, Rod mentioned this. It's also part of our social media and our branding strategy. So we're going to be publishing, any companies who sponsor us, their names in our emails, on the website. We have a Twitter account. We have Instagram. We're going to start advertising more on the Soyuz Loop because we have a lot more volunteer opportunities happening. So there will be more of an online presence this year rather than actual, maybe physical signs that people can see. That's part of our new social media plan to build that into it.
Thank you.
I was thinking, that's great. I was thinking that it's a beautiful facility, and it would be nice to get people actually out there in the stands, watching events, and getting exposure to sponsorship. Anyway, that's not a question. It's my editorial.
I'd like to applaud that, though, I'll tell you.
Thank you. Director Davis, I'm just wondering if, thank you very much for your assistance in helping the Desert Park Society. Did you have anything to add to the conversation?
No, Madam Mayor. It's basically, since we've been sitting down and meeting with the board, they've been pretty open, and we've had some really good discussions, and hopefully we can make some things happen. I do hope that Mr. Shields is successful in getting his grant, and I can contest that, yes, it was a bit of a headache, a pain. As I was off on my COVID leave at the time, it kept me busy, so it was okay.
Well, thank you. And thank you to, go ahead, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to applaud you again. I think your timing's right with all your media and things you're putting together and applying for your tax status in Ottawa. I think that'll lead forward because, as the virus is here, we're more likely a year out, maybe into 2022 spring, we could see a nice big event as the town opens up. So I believe you're on track. You're doing everything going down the road in the right way. I do have a passion for that facility up there. I was instrumental in helping bring the races to that facility a few years ago. I'd be more than welcome to come to one of your board meetings if you would allow me. Send me an email when the date is. Maybe I could help bring some partners to the table for your sponsorships.
Good. Thank you, Councillor King. I just want to thank all of you on the board for all the work that you've put in. You've really done a great job of getting things fired up again up there. And I want to thank CAO Chabot and Director Davis for helping and getting this well organized. So we wish you the very best, and we look forward to hearing from you again. If you have anything else to report to us, please get hold of Mrs. Hilson, and we would love to have you back with any updates in the future. So thank you very much
We
for
appreciate
attending.
it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye.
So, Mrs. Hilson, are you? We're done? Okay. Thank you. So, that was very good. They've done a great job. So the next item on our agenda is SILGA amendments. And did you want to talk to this, Mr. Chabot, or?
Your Worship, I didn't spend a lot of time looking at it. There's a variety of items here.
He needs to, because.
One is amendments. Oh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Your Worship, I didn't spend a lot of time looking at this. There's a variety of items related to the Southern Interior Local Government Association, proposed amendments to their constitution, slight changes to the handling of resolutions that SILGA will consider at their annual general meeting. One is to not exclusively support and advance to the UBCM. Proposed changes in legislation, it's proposed to be amended to allow them to support and advance to the UBCM and or provincial ministries on behalf of the membership. So if something weren't, say, provincial in nature, more regional perhaps, they'd rather go straight to government than through the UBCM process. There is another amendment, I guess, regarding the submission of resolutions, and there's a whole process around that. They guide readers to the UBCM website for the process, how to craft resolutions for their consideration. There's a change to their membership fee proposed. There is a call for nominations for election to the board of directors. Deadline for nominations is February the 28th, 2021. And if anyone's interested, they need to complete a biography, submit a photo. They don't take nominations from the floor per se, and it'll probably be a virtual AGM, I would expect.
They haven't quite decided yet, but I'm pretty sure that they will make that decision.
Yeah,
pretty
they're
soon.
typically meeting May, is it?
The end of April.
End of
That's
April.
when it is, and it's supposed to be in Vernon, which is where it was going to be last year. And I think that it will likely be virtual now, it sounds like. And I just want to point out that I'm not sure how many there are on the board, 10 or something, on the SILGA board. At least 4 of them are from the RDOS. So we have very good representation down at this end of the valley. So and I'm assuming they're going to stay on the board again. I have a feeling that the president, if it goes sequentially, the first vice is Karla Kozakovich. So, that'll be a good thing. If anybody's interested in this, please have a look through here, make some suggestions. We've got a couple of weeks, I think, to be able to come up with some ideas or some suggestions. If any of you want to run for office, please do so. They kind of have a fun time. No, these two don't. All right. And we will continue to, got you, CJ, we will continue to get information from Alison Slater. She actually asked me last year if Asuyas would like to host SILGA, and we have done it before, but was before I got involved. I'm not sure whether Councillor Rhodes was on. Were you on council when SILGA was here, CJ?
Yes, I was, Mayor McCullough.
Oh, okay, so he could be the chair of it. It's not a problem because he knows what he's doing. So did you have a question, Councillor Rhodes? Yeah.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm curious about the resolution process. SILGA is often a stepping stone to getting resolutions at UBCM. And with the current pandemic that's going on in the world, I'm curious if there might be more of an appetite at UBCM and SILGA to move forward with online electronic voting. Suyas was very engaged 4 years ago at UBCM, took a resolution through SILGA right to UBCM, and a resolution was passed. It was a pretty close vote, but it was passed and everything. And there was definitely not any kind of an appetite with the provincial authority. Actually, they actually killed the idea about 4 minutes after it was voted in favor. But things have changed a little bit. The pandemic has certainly brought a new outlook towards online processes, and I'm wondering if there might be an appetite with the rest of council to maybe try that again.
I think that right now, at SILGA, you can vote. Last year, I did not pay to attend SILGA, but I was able to go online and vote for the slate of officers. So I'm sure it's being used, that idea, right now. But are you thinking, you're thinking this would just in time of COVID, or are you thinking that it might be at an in-person meeting that you would do it online voting? Is that what you're suggesting?
Actually, specifically for provincial elections, when we go to the polls and vote.
Yeah, it's not just SILGA. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good idea. Do we have that resolution, don't we, already? Because
I'd be curious to look at it, Your Worship. I think it might be worth looking at. Did want to note that with ministerial orders, with COVID, the Cabinet's been approving expanded mail-in balloting for municipal by-elections that are underway in the province right now. Great expansion to that. And I guess they're happier there in that there's more security checks and balances in the system to ensure that it's an eligible voter casting a ballot. So probably concerns around security for electronic balloting. You'd think if you can do your banking online, you could probably cast your vote.
Yeah. Would you, I'm wondering if we could get Mr. Chabot to have a look at the resolution that would obviously be on our books from about, was it 2015, Councillor Rhodes? Is that when we went down? Is it you?
I think so. I'm a little unclear on the dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my pitch notes and everything, but regrettably I cannot date them.
Well, because Councillor Rhodes actually spoke to the motion on the floor at UBCM. So perhaps we could get that out and have a look at it again and see if there's anything that we would like to change. Is that all right, Councillor Rhodes, if we get
that would be great.
Okay.
I think there might be, a little bit more energy to look at it. The province did do a study on it. Study recommended that we never move forward with it because of the security aspect. But as CIO Chabot mentioned, people do everything online now. Security has changed, and there is a new outlook towards it. So it might be a good idea for us to try and bring that forward again. And we have been engaged in it in the past.
Sure.
And maybe we could move forward with that again.
Good. Okay, well, that will be handled. Okay, thank you very much. Are you suggesting that we send it to SILGA first and then to UBCM, or directly to UBCM? Does that matter to you, CJ?
Well, I think that's the process that we have to follow. We have to get certification from SILGA first, and then it bumps it up in priorities at UBCM. It'll move it into... like it was last time, into the regular resolutions rather than all of the ones that are just kind of sitting there waiting for attention.
Okay, we'll let Mr. Chabot look at that and see what he recommends, okay?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else on their agenda this morning? Okay, so if there's nothing else, then I will ask for a termination of the meeting, which seems to be the new way of doing it. Saying, would somebody like to move? Councillor King?
Slash and burn.
Slash and burn. And Councillor Bennett is seconding. We will. So all in favor of terminating the meeting? Thank you. We will see you all